This is what my seedlings looked like 5 years ago. But now, this is what they look like every single time I start seeds. See, over the past 5 years, I've started thousands of seeds, I've spent thousands of dollars on supplies, and I've run countless experiments to find out what seedlings need to absolutely thrive. And in today's video, I'm gonna share with you the 6 steps that I now use to get thriving seedlings just like this every single time. So to begin diving in, the first step is to fill your seed cells. And this year, I've actually transitioned from using 3-inch seed cells to now using the Epic Gardening 4-cell seed cells. They're so durable that you can literally stand on them, and each cell is 2 inches by 2 inches, which I find to be the perfect size for starting seeds. And if you're a little OCD like me, 8 of them fit perfectly into a 10-20 seed tray, which I really appreciate. Now, once you have them laid out, the next thing is, of course, to add some seedling mix into these seed cells. But what's the right seedling mix to be going with? And this is another area that I've experimented with a ton over the last 5 years. And I just finished an experiment where I grew the exact same crops in 7 different seedling mixes. And what made the biggest difference? Adding sifted compost. Take a look at these seedlings. On the left, they received no compost, but on the right, 1/3 of the seedling mix was finely sifted compost. Every other variable was the exact same. So the recipe that I swear by and use for starting all my seeds is 1 part finely sifted compost and 2 parts Pro Mix. Simply put them in a bin, mix them up, and then begin filling your seed cells with it. And if you want to save yourself the hassle of finding good compost, sifting it, making it all yourself, then I'll include a link down in the description for the exact seedling mix that I utilize for starting all of my seeds as well. Now, once you've got your seed cells filled up, just even them out a little bit, and then grab one of the seed cells and gently compact all of the seedling mix so you have about 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter of space at the top. And that brings us to step 2, which is to place your seeds into the seed cells. But don't just throw them in there straight away. First, check to make sure all of your seed packets are less than 3 years old. See, a few years ago, I ran an experiment where I tested seeds that were packaged for that year versus 3 years ago versus 5 years ago. And those that were packaged for that season had a nearly 100% germination rate. Those that were packaged for 3 seasons ago dropped all the way down to about 25%. And those that were 5 years old had a 0% germination rate. So as you're looking at your seed packets, if any of them are a little bit older, you might want to just consider getting some new ones to not have any of that frustration or headache trying to figure out what might be going wrong. Now, with your new seeds on hand, I like to place 2 to 3 seeds in each one of the seed cells. And you're gonna do that right on the very top of the seedling mix that we put in there. By placing 2 to 3 seeds in each one of the seed cells, it just gives us a higher probability that at least one of them will germinate so that we can transplant it then into the garden. And just for context, I start all of my seeds exactly like this. So even if it's a small seed like basil or a larger seed like a squash or cucumber seed, I'm planting all of them at a 1/2 inch or 1/4 centimeter deep. And the reason why is because I ran an experiment where I tested starting seeds at a bunch of different depths, from right on the surface all the way down to planted 3 inches deep. And what I found was that every single seed, regardless of size, was germinating when it was planted a 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter deep, which is why every single one of these is at that depth. And the last thing I need to do for this part is to just cover them with a little bit more seedling mix up to the lip of the seed cell, because I know that that will be a 1/2 inch or 1 centimeter. So our seeds are in the seed cells. Now, in order for them to germinate, they need 2 things: moisture and warmth. And you're probably thinking light as well, but we're gonna touch on that in just a second. But for step 3, it's to water your seed cells. And on this front, I'm not joking. I literally use a turkey baster to water all of my seedlings. And I like to do 1 turkey baster of water per 2 seed cells. And the reason why I love the turkey baster for watering is because it only allows us to get out a certain amount of water at once. And I find that that amount is enough that the seedling mix can absorb it, but not so much that it starts just running off to the sides. And by doing multiple rounds of this watering, we're ensuring that our seeds get a really nice amount of moisture to begin the germination process. So once I've watered the full tray, I then go back to the beginning and I'm gonna do 2 more rounds for a total of 3 rounds of watering. Okay, so these babies are all set. And for step number 4, I need you to actually forget everything that I've said so far. And the reason why is because we could have done everything absolutely perfectly right, but if we get step 4 wrong, then our seedlings are really going to struggle the whole time that they're growing. And so step number 4 is to place your seed cells underneath a good grow light. And I use the word good very intentionally because there's so many grow lights available, and they really range in quality and performance. So to add context to this, earlier this season, I started the exact same seeds in 5 different light sources. One set was in a windowsill that had a light reading of 1000 lux. Another set was underneath a Sondico grow light that had a reading of about 300 lux. Another set was underneath a Monios grow light, which had been my favorite grow light up until the season, and it had a reading of 8000 lux. And then the last set was underneath my VIVOSUN VS1000, and it had a reading of 44,000 lux. I kept every other variable the exact same. The only difference was the light source that they were underneath. And after 1 month, this is what the seedlings looked like underneath that Monios grow light. Definitely some growth, but a little bit laggy. This is what the seed looked like in the windowsill, absolutely struggling. And even though the Sondico grow light has over 3,500 5-star reviews, this is what they were looking like. But this is what the seedlings look like underneath that VIVOSUN grow light. Clearly, the light source made a huge difference on how well they grew. So I'm gonna place these in my seed starting station underneath my favorite grow light at the moment, which is the VIVOSUN A200 SE. And the reason why I love this light so much is it has these 2 side panels that allow you to basically tilt them up. And when you do so, it allows you to cover 4 trays with just the 1 light, which is pretty amazing. And on top of that, it has a built-in fan that blows air over top of the seedlings to simulate wind, which is gonna give you even stronger and more sturdy seedlings to then transplant out into the garden. And so if you wanna get your hands on this exact same grow light, I'll include a link to it down in the description of this video. And you might next be wondering, how long do I leave my grow lights on for? And yes, this is another area that I ran an experiment on. I got myself 4 automatic timers and then plugged grow lights into them. And I set one so that it was on for 6 hours per day, another one that was on for 12 hours per day, 18 hours per day, and 24 hours per day. And what I found was those in the 6-hour and 24-hour environment both really struggled. But those in the 12 and 18-hour environments absolutely thrived. For myself personally, I like to go with 16 hours per day. So our babies are underneath the grow lights in the seed starting station. They almost have everything that they need to begin germinating and thriving. And that brings us to our final 2 steps. So step number 5 is to ensure the room is at least 75 Fahrenheit or 23 Celsius. And if you're like me and you're starting your seeds in a dark and cavernous and drafty part of the house that is not that temperature, how do you get it warm enough? And this is where I absolutely encourage you to utilize some form of a space heater. And for myself, I've started utilizing the VIVOSUN space heater, and I absolutely love this as well for a couple of reasons. The biggest one is because I can program the temperature that I want it to be at. So I can specify that I want it to be right at 23 Celsius or 75 Fahrenheit. And attached to the heater is a sensor. And so the second that it goes above that temperature I set of 23 Celsius, 75 Fahrenheit, it turns off. And then the second that it goes below that temperature, it turns back on, which ensures that the seed starting area stays at that perfect temperature for our seeds to germinate and begin growing. And then to be a little bit more efficient from an energy perspective, I take a shower curtain rod and a bed sheet and just pull that across the seed starting area. This traps all the warm area in that area and allows me to not have to heat the whole downstairs area to that temperature. It's not the prettiest thing, but it gets the job done. So we now have the seed starting area nice and warm, which is great because that's what the seeds need to germinate, but it also means that that seedling mix is going to begin drying up. And so our 6th and final step for today is to keep the seedling mix moist. And all you need to do is after 1 to 2 days, go up to the seed cells and place the back of your hands on it. If it's moist to the touch and dark chocolate in color, then you don't need to add any more moisture. But if after 2 to 3 days it feels dry to the touch and the seedling mix is starting to look more like a milk chocolate, then it's time for our next watering. And all that you need to do is 1 turkey base of water across each of the 2 seed cells to keep the seedling mix moist so the seeds can germinate. And definitely keep in mind that the exact timing for this, whether it's 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, is going to vary for each and every one of us, depending on the temperature of your seed starting area, how much compost you have in your seedling mix, the size of the seed cell, etc. So use 2 to 3 days as a starting point, but take note from what the seedling mix is telling you. And the best part is that if you follow those steps and you keep your seedlings nice and moist during the germination process, within 7 days, you're gonna have all kinds of beautiful seedlings beginning to poke through the surface, and in less than 30 days underneath grow lights like this, they're going to be absolutely thriving, begging to either be potted up or transplanted into the garden. And if you're wondering how to do either of those two things, well, I've included links to those video guides down in the description of this video. If you want to get your hands on any of the products that I've utilized in this video, including those grow lights, then simply head down to the description of this video, as that's where I've listed them all out. And lastly, if you're enjoying the gardening experiments, then you might enjoy this video right here as well. That's all for today though. I'll catch you on the next gardening experiment. See you then.